We're good to go. All right, so hello and welcome everyone. It's February 17th, 2026. We made it to this year. Wow. Every year is like, oh, will there be a 2027? Will there be a 2028? It's always a little bit hanging in the balance. And I'm super happy to be hosting Alex Michael, conspiracy music guru, who has been such a kind of staple in the truth movement from get-go and day one. When I was tuning in, I was hearing your stuff and appreciating it.
More like a thorn to some people rather than a staple, but sorry.
Depending on what you like to eat. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the House of Free Will is a place where we can connect. It's my experiment in getting along that is not necessarily that easy to do, bringing people together. We all have maybe an ideal of having a parallel society and being with our tribe and all of that kind of thing. So that's what this is about, to see if we can relate on a variety of topics. I see the purpose of our human existence to be creating and growing and learning and expanding no matter what is going on around us. This to me feels like, I might get to the end of my life and go, what was I thinking? But in the meantime, this is how I stay in a place of feeling alive in the face of all the weirdness. And this is, your relative aliveness is what you contribute to your community, to your humanity. So to me, this is a winning formula to be in this mode. So Alex, you're a great example of that. Every time I turn around, you've got a new song coming out, a new album you're working on. You have a very strong message, the way that you put things in your lyrics. And what was I going to say? Two things at one time. Alex has a great channel. Hey, Robert, nice to see you. Has a great channel, and there's a membership. It's very, very affordable. So I've got in the back end there, and I can listen to Alex's full-length albums and anything that he puts behind that paywall, if you can call it. It's really extremely affordable. So I do recommend that, and we'll share a link in the chat. Alex was on recently for an interview, so you can go and hear maybe more of his backstory. There might be some overlap today. Who cares? I don't mind. The good things always bear repeating. And so we're here to not so much get a lesson in creativity, but to jam on creativity, right? Because you can sit and talk about the craft and the art and the thing all day long in a kind of what do you call it, theoretical way or academic way. But at the end of the day, we're actually here to do the thing. So this conversation itself is an act of creativity. It's putting something out where there seemed to be nothing. And again, for the purposes of taking some energy, maybe transmuting it, maybe getting past a fear of some kind. Now I am deep into teaching a course on creativity. I'm so geeking out with myself. I'm hoping other people are able to appreciate that. It's so deep. And one thing I've noticed before we launch into this one is that, and maybe this could be a first question for you, Alex, is that the creative process for me has always been recursive. So every time I go to create something that's going to be new in my mind, I always at some point realize how I've just carried forward themes that were already there in my life. And it's more like building on themes rather than pulling a rabbit out of a hat or trying to make something brand new. So do you want to start with a question like that? And I'll just preempt quickly and say that, we can use the chat, but being a small group, we can also unmute. If you want to interact, you want to contribute anything or ask questions, then we're always free to do that.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is evolving as an artist. You're just adding, and I'm getting better as I go along. I'm learning new chord structures and new ways to express myself musically. And I don't use the old chords anymore. I'm sick of those sort of major and minor chords. I'm trying to find, and I don't read music, so it's a bit of a challenge finding those augmented, suspended, and all of those kind of things. But so I'm progressing musically as well as, I don't know, maybe even consciously, you could say. it's like my music to me is a therapy. When I'm angry at the world, which I was in 2020, I was very angry. I was shouting things like "I told you so" into the microphone, and "Your television watching news believers." And I wrote a song about Big Pharma, and they were all heavy metal, Metallica kind of like heavy rock songs. So that was a therapy album for me. That rock album. It's called Black Sheep. It's on my website. So that was kind of an era of me just going ah. As I said before, I don't need a therapist. I just need a microphone, really, and a guitar. So, but now I know that that's out of my system now. Now I'm sort of laying back and trying not to let those things anger me. That because I can't change it ultimately. I can probably leave this apartment in a slightly better condition than I found it. I hope musically, but I can't really. I just have to sort of observe and use my creativity as a therapy session and just express myself. I've made, dark songs about what's going on in our skies. I've made dark songs about what's going on with this particular medical intervention and things like that. So I guess now I've got a couple of musicians I'm working with who are fantastic. It's really challenging me, and we're writing stuff. And for me to work with other musicians as well is a brand new thing for me. So I'm evolving in that way as well. I'm usually a one-man band. Too many cooks spoil the broth. But these guys are very conscious. They're right on my level on every aspect, so that's good. And they're musically capable as well, so that's good. And they speak English, so that's good. So I'm kind of bearing in mind I live in Spain, of course. And so just working with musicians now is a whole new thing for me, evolving and writing new stuff and trying to be more happy. Yes, there's a darkness to this world, and I will never forget it. It will always be there in my subconscious. But I think maybe my music should be more solutions based, maybe guiding people into a place where it's okay, everything's going to be all right, as Bob Marley said. Maybe some more uplifting stuff. I've done my Dark Night of the Soul musically, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and now I'm doing different things and continuing with the solfeggio series as well as working with other musicians. So everything I've done before, from the Flat Earth Man album to the acoustic album to the rock album, they're all different things. I can create in many different genres if I want to, because I'm not tied to a label, so I can experiment however I want to. I'm not pigeonholed. So all of that stuff that I did is all preparing me for the next album, and I still look back on all those albums fondly, because that was where I was at that time. So I'm just, as you say, it's just reoccurring and getting better and refining my art and having a nice therapy session while I'm at it.
That's awesome. So good. Hey, are we having some tech trouble? Was it just Scott that couldn't hear? Or everybody else can hear? Okay, perfect. Okay, good to know. And looks like Scott can hear again. Yeah, so you said a lot of amazing things there about the challenge of teaching yourself through your craft, right? If it's music or writing or whatever kind of, it doesn't even have to be an art form necessarily, because creativity expands even beyond art. But if you're using it as a way to teach yourself, meaning that you always take on something, a little bit new, like you said, I'm kind of tired of these old chords, and now I can explore some new sounds. And that's how I ended up writing my music. Is I would always write something that I couldn't play yet. It was really annoying because I didn't have the instant gratification satisfaction. I would have to like pull it out and then,
Yeah,
oh,
you got to push yourself, right?
exactly. But yeah, every single song would teach me something new about my instrument or singing. And
And it never ends as well. It absolutely never ends. It's just like this, even just the guitar, what you can get out of one guitar, and even probably the best guitarists in the world, the virtuosos of this world, would still say that they've still got so much to learn. It's just this infinite instrument. And that's just a guitar. That's just one make of guitar. And then you start talking about all the other instruments that I have access to digitally as well. And then you're like, you just have all of these variables and just a million different choices, and you're only limited by your imagination. It's such an incredible playing field to just, to come in here and just like think, oh, maybe this song needs a sitar or maybe a Chinese flute or something. And I have that right there. It's like being a mad professor in a little lab somewhere.
right. Oh, two really good points in there that the process is never ending. And then what do you think is the benefit of putting yourself in that place where you're continuously learning?
Well, I mean, is that why we're here? I mean, for me, it makes me a better musician. It makes me a better, just what's the point in staying at level, whatever level you are? It's like being in an elevator that doesn't go up or whatever. It's just like you just have to continue to do it because it gives me joy to find a new chord or a joy to find a new sound or a new mixture of sounds. I didn't realize that, a sitar would work with an organ, but it does, and then put some strings and cello there and just continually challenging yourself. And yeah, there are mistakes and there's frustration there where things don't go right. You're making a song and you spend days on it. And then you go into the studio with fresh ears the next day and you're like, it sounds like crap. And you're like, oh God, it's just like, so then you pull it all around again, and eventually you get to that prize at the end where you go, right now I'm happy. I kind of use Goosebumps as my barometer. I listen with my system, which is a lovely system, and I just get the goosebumps, and then I'm like, ah, finally. It's like giving birth.
Nice, nice. It's actually a beautiful way to use those goosebumps because sometimes people interpret that as the truth. And I've had goosebumps for many fake and gay things over the years. And but in terms of just like
I just love that you use the phrase fake and gay. I love that about you.
oh, everybody's playing it back to me, and now I'm broken. I can't stop it. But yeah, it's that I think it's way better barometer for creative direction. It's like, oh, there's energy here. There's some
Right.
juice, there's some life. There's something interesting. This to me was my grandmother taught me, who died at 96, and she went out of her way to stay interested in life, whatever it took. There was some new book, some new topic, completely like a pariah in her generation. They wanted to play bingo and gossip, and she wanted to explore ideas and learn and do new things, and that just wasn't popular in her world, sadly. I like how one of the things I was going forward to also in terms of the learning is that it can keep you from, I think, becoming just like so full of yourself and so empty as a result.
Yeah, stale and stagnant are the words that bring to mind. Yeah, you don't want to be stuck in this endless loop of just doing the same thing. And I see that in the music. Well, we see it in the music industry for the last 30, 40 years with that same chord progression that they know works, and they just put different sounds to the same chord progression, and that's not progressing, is it really at all in any way? We've completely devolved musically over the last 100 years now.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of classical music, and my one of my conclusions there is that they drank a lot of alcohol, actually, because on the one hand, it is like amazing and mathematically wow, and I always see the sheet music, even though I don't really read it, in my head going by like
It's incredible. That's higher minded music right there.
yeah, 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 but inebriated, I think too, because it's all over the map. Even though there's some structure,
But it's brilliant. So what does that tell you about alcohol?
right? Yeah, it's another tip off is that it's so emotional, right? And it's not emotional in a certain direction. It's emotional again all over the map. It's taking you too high and low and then they were going
Well, alcohol is exactly. And I often find, I don't want to be sitting here promoting alcohol, but I often find like if I want to sing something, I'll have a glass of wine. It just lowers my shoulders. It gives me that confidence to go to belt, to find that voice and to belt it out. And there are emotions with alcohol, of course. So maybe there is that. Maybe alcohol does, create a more artistic, emotional piece. Who knows? I find it helps sometimes, but I don't want to be that guy that goes, I have to have a drink to create a song. That's not what I'm saying. But every now and then, it helps me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I mean, it dissolves your boundaries. It dissolves your sense of what are they going to think of me? It does give you not necessarily to the point of total inebriation, but it loosens you up, and so that's
Yeah.
why it can
I
be
mean, everything in moderation, people, of course.
right, right. Any comparison to cannabis in terms of the creative thing?
I actually prefer to mix them both. I know a lot of people say you should never mix them both, but I have a pipe and I smoke a raw tobacco and I smoke my homegrown cannabis and I put that in and I'll have a swig of wine and I'll like that, and then I'm just like I'm in the flow for whatever reason. It does help. I mean, it's not. I don't go right. I need to be creative. I must have a drink, must have a smoke. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't always happen, but if I'm in the mood, and it's like, I mean, I've been a bar musician for like 40 years. And I played in the pubs and the clubs, so that kind of culture, drinking and smoking, is in my DNA, really.
Right.
So it's like I'm not scared. I don't think alcohol is bad. I think it's your choice of alcohol. Actually, there's a reason why wines and beers are really cheap and cognacs are expensive. The cognac is basically a fermented grape and nothing more, just filtered. So, I think it's the choice of, and I do love a cognac. I must admit, I do love a glass of cognac. So, I don't think it's all bad. I'm not, tarring it all with the same brush. And I'm not saying, got to have a drink to play the piano. But, I find it helps along the way. I find a bit of a smoke helps along the way. It can, if you're feeling nervous or whatever in any way, it can just get rid of that. So, why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want to loosen up why wouldn't you want your hands loose? Because I'm quite a stressed and tense person. And as soon as I pick up the guitar, like I just feel, and I'm not hitting the notes. Like right, okay, let's have a smoke, and then all of a sudden, so why wouldn't you, utilize something like that? But I can see why in the music industry there are so many musicians that have had problems with alcohol and drugs because the pressure on these people to perform is enormous. So thank God I don't do the gigs anymore because I'd probably be back in that drinking every night sort of phase just to get up on stage, which I really don't want to fall into that.
Right. Yeah. The rates of creatives going the way of addiction is remarkable,
Yeah,
actually.
they go hand in hand. They definitely go hand in hand. There's a saying, isn't there, that I suffer for my art, and I really do. If I'm involved in a musical project, it's just like it consumes me. I'm obsessed over it, and I take it to bed, and I'm like worried, not worrying, but thinking creatively. How am I going to do this song? What chord progression? Or if I'm doing a video, how am I going to place the camera? What am I going to do here? And so it just and I end up losing sleep and it coils me up, it tightens me up, and it's like every creative process is like that for me. It doesn't come that naturally. It's not actually quite difficult to get into, to create an album. Like I say, it's like giving birth. It's very, very traumatic. So I can understand why people need to have something to turn to just to help that process along.
Absolutely. Yeah. Creativity is one of the greatest pains. Right. You can't really sell it to anybody on that. Oh yeah, you're going to, it's equivalent of blowing a kid out between your legs. Right? That's the
Yeah.
kind of pain you go through. It's
Yeah,
it,
it really is. It really is painful. And I guess, only creative people will understand that. Non-creative people hearing me say have probably just heard me say, "Oh, he needs a drink to create a song, or he needs that to help him along, or something like that." And they won't understand. They won't, because if you're a creative person, it does consume you. It is stressful, and there are things that I do turn to sometimes when life is getting me down or the song's getting me down or things aren't going the way I want them to, and then so don't mishear me, people. That's not what I'm saying. I guess if you're a creative person, you will know how much it consumes you.
indeed. Yeah, no, I have zero judgment about it whatsoever. Everybody's making their way in this world, and I ain't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, that suffering, that can be classic. I rewatched Amadeus recently because I've got a new interest in classical music, just wanting things for background of writing in particular. And he died really young, and he lived a very intense, full on, incredible production of creative work came out of him, and then gone like this.
Mm.
And how would
Are
you?
you saying it killed him?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. That would be totally conjecture on my part to say that.
Mm.
But if that was true, how can we make it more sustainable? Might be a way
I
to.
don't. I mean, look at the amount of composers, that brilliant composers that were just had just like real issues with their psychology and just their personal life and everything. It seems to be a common theme. I don't know how you can iron that out and make creative people normal. I don't think really creative people or brilliant people, brilliant musicians are normal people. They suffer for their art.
Right, right. And there can be a certain sacrifice, on behalf of others that are going to benefit from their work. Yeah, I got my whole take on that in terms of if the will is there, then the healing can happen. And to me, it only, increases the creative will in the process. And there's also, so many people create out of suffering. I'm in pain, therefore I'm going to
Mm.
create. And they might even get attached to the suffering, because if that were to end, they might feel their creative life would end. Where would they get their juice from? It's the same with the people that I work with, where the unconscious programming promises that it's the reason you are producing. And to let that go, even though it's a deep pain and it's intense, it promises, oh, you won't be able to do anything without me. So it's a real going through the firewall to get to the other side of that. And that it. I understand that the pain of creating is not going to go away, but the tortured life, that part, there is some choice, I think, around that. Although we have all different callings.
Sadly, popular music is about pain and love and all that, because people can rest because there's so much pain in this. People are suffering in the world, and when you show your suffering, they kind of hear it and they go, "Yeah, I'm not alone. This guy's going through it as well, and he's expressing himself, and he's saying exactly what I'm feeling." So, I wish I could be the kind of guy to make music about unicorns and rainbows and puppy dogs and kittens, but that's not the world we live in, is it really? And of course, I want, my music must have a message, and I want people to wake up to, some of the terrible things that are going on. So you kind of have to mention them every now and then in order for people to be aware of them, so they can then stop, giving it their attention. You've got to tell people about the medical intervention to make them go, "Holy shit, I had no idea. Thank you. I'm thinking differently now. I'll avoid that. That doesn't seem like a good idea." So you kind of have to do that to raise awareness, if you like, musically. And every time you're raising awareness about what something's going on in the world, it's usually something pretty dark. So that will always be there, I think.
Exactly. Well, that's the powerful thing. And I think Robert has a question. I was just going to say that powerful thing about doing it musically is that it's digestible, right? First time hearing, oh, that's a nice chord progression, and oh, he has a good voice, and
Yeah.
oh, he's talking about chemtrails, or he's talking about that we shouldn't have to go to get a jab against our permission and all of that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very easy way to digest.
That's why the comedy stuff that I did really, really worked, and that really made the medicine go down rather well. I'm referring to my Flat Earth Man days when I put on a cowboy hat and I did a country accent, and I was basically blowing the whistle on all of NASA's shenanigans from track 1 to track 10 on that album. And it's all comedically delivered, visually as well. And yeah, it made that. I mean, if you really look into NASA and what's going on there, it's dark as hell. It is so dark. But I, of course, delivered it with a laugh and a joke and a skip and a catchy chorus, and people that really worked. I would like to get back to doing that stuff, but that's green screen work, and that takes me like 2 months to make a 5-minute video. So I don't know if I'm gonna. I have to take a really deep breath if I'm going to do another one of those. But those ingredients, comedy, music, catchy chorus, it's just it's probably I can't think of a better medicine to deliver truth.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's it. When people are open, the comedy brings everybody up into a place of courage on the emotional scale. You're willing to have fun even in the face of darkness, and yeah, so you can. Yeah, it's really, like you said, good medicine. Robert, did you have a question before I jumped in?
Sure. Yeah. How are you, Alex?
Hey man, I recognize that t-shirt.
Yeah, I just supporter here.
Much love, thank you, bro.
Yeah, I got your albums too, bro.
Oh,
Awesome,
thank you.
excellent work. My question, Alex, is I'm somebody that's never created anything like in an artistic form, but a couple of years ago, I took a course that loosened me up, and I was dropping poems and coming up with ideas to like parody songs that exist. And my question is, what do you think about parodying songs that are already out there in people's awareness and, layering truth in? A lot of other people have done this.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a good.
curious of your thoughts.
That's a good question. I used to be kind of allergic to parodies, and I used to think they were lazy in some way, shape, or form. I used to think, you're already taking a song that already exists, and you're just writing new lyrics for it, blah blah blah, and I would dismiss it until I did a couple of parodies of my own, or someone wrote them for me and said, "Would you voice this?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I released them on my channel, and lo and behold, they get more views, than the original songs. So you're like, okay, if the goal is to reach as many people as possible, now all of a sudden parodies of me are a bloody good idea, because the songs are already recognizable. With original songs, people have to listen to them a good few times before they actually become catchy. But with parodies, they're already in people's subconscious. So you can. So I'm a fan of parodies now. So I've totally done a 180 reverse on what I think of parodies.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I have a couple of books of stuff.
Well,
I
I mean, what you should do, you should get the backing tracks because there's a website called karaoke-version.com. Go on there. It has all the backing tracks for any song you can think of. And not only that, you can remove the drums or remove the bass and do your own mix of it. And you download the backing track for like $3. It's nothing. And then you can just get a microphone or get someone to sing over it. So if you're not a singer yourself, and you could pump them out really, really quickly. If you're writing the amount of stuff I've just seen you, obviously, you're writing, you could pump them out really quick. You could do a whole channel dedicated to that.
that's awesome to hear. I'm curious to, I don't want to use AI. I just think it creeps me out. I'm not saying that you can't use it for searching and there's other functions for it, but anytime people make stuff, video or audio, I don't know, I can sense it. And I'd love to parody stuff with maybe people that are like, I have a nephew who's an incredible bassist, like orchestra level, brilliant musician, but now he's in a corporate job. Hey, is there a way to get musicians that I know to lay down tracks and bring it all together now and make a song that's not AI, that's got like a real instrument? Or is that really difficult, Alex?
Cool. That's a big question. If you've got competent musicians and you've got the software and a dedicated space like I have, and you have to have the right sound interface. If you want to record instruments simultaneously, you will have to learn what's called a digital audio workstation. The one I use is Logic, which is the one for Mac, and there are others out there. So if you're going to do recording musicians, if you're a beginner, that's going to be quite a jump. I would definitely get familiar with digital audio workstation software and find out how to get instruments into your computer, mix the levels, mix the EQ, put some reverb on, make sure the mic's not too loud, make sure the bass is, not too rumbly and all of these kinds of things. And then you're getting into music production. It's so much fun when you get into it. And you're forever learning it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because then you're only limited by your imagination. And of course, with the digital audio workstations, you have all of these synth sounds and samples and things. So you'll you'll be, if you had a little place like this, a little cave, a little studio cave, you'll be lost for weeks and weeks and weeks and years and years and years. And before you know it, you're just pushing out content and you're getting better and better and better. Maybe start with some backing tracks and just try getting a good vocal to a backing track and try and mix and master that so it sounds good. And then maybe, download the backing track again, but remove the bass and say, hey, you want to play bass? So, and then, just, I don't know, just put your toe in the water initially and start playing around with that stuff because you'll have so much fun with it.
Wow, that's incredible. That sounds a little bit beyond my level, but I think Beth's son, Liam, we're going to need him for backup, Beth. He's
Totally.
her son plays guitar, and who knows? But I see what you're saying. I can understand how to organize now better. But I realize that I have skills lacking in a lot of these areas. But
you need a dedicated space for sure. So dedicate a space. If you're going to go into this realm, dedicate a space, have a desk, have a good, you might have to spend a few bucks, a few $1,000 even if you wanted to get a decent speaker system and that. And then of course, if you want to learn digital audio workstations like Logic, YouTube is your best friend. There are so many channels dedicated to just beginner level, how to get an input, how to put the guitar into the sound, and just like real basic stuff. If you want to go into that realm of music production, it's an expensive hobby, but it's the best hobby in my mind.
Thanks, man.
You are welcome, mate.
Very cool. I was going to go back to a point. By the way, Kristen said her mom is getting into frequencies and gifting your CDs to her mom for Mother's Day. So that's really nice.
Oh, fantastic. What a lovely present.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to just pick up on a point around the what did you call them again when the song already exists? Oh, parodies. And then so how people are very addicted to what they already know. That's why you go into any store these days, they're not playing new music that I don't recognize. They're playing all the music from my childhood. And, that seems to be a standard. Why? Because we're attached to that. So then, for a musician to really diverge out of what they've already done into something new can be really difficult, because people don't want new stuff. They want new old stuff, or something, that is recognizable. So how do you navigate with that, Alex? Do you just like not care about what they're looking for, that they need something familiar?
I I try not to be influenced anymore. Although I still got my influences. Some of my guitar solos are very sort of Eric Clapton-y, Pink Floyd-y kind of very slow hand, more emotional than the Steve Vai stuff. So, but I try not to listen to any music at all anymore. You can't avoid it. You're in the supermarket, you're going to hear it. But I try not, I want everything to come from me. But I know that, the format that we're in is always, intro, verse, bridge, chorus, and that's what people are familiar with. So in order to deliver truth the way I delivered it in that template, catchy chorus. I mean, that is still a bastardization of music. I think, as we were talking about 100 years ago, music was way more all over the place. Not all over the place, but structurally, structured. It was just beautiful. It took you on these peaks and troughs and these emotional highs and lows. Music doesn't do that anymore. It's bridge, chorus, it's verse, bridge, chorus. So I had to deliver it, and I still deliver it. Even my solfeggio stuff does that, but melodically, instrumentally. So I haven't fallen out of that that template, that construct. And I'm frightened to do so. I know I could, but I'm frightened to do so because I don't think it would fall on I don't think it would be delivered well. I don't think people would accept it because they're so used to, these chord structures. I mean, so I don't know. I find what I do is sticking to these particular structures, and make it, because if you make a 20-minute classical piece and do something opera or maybe and try and put truth into that, I mean, how far is that going to travel? I don't think people are ready for that.
Yeah, it actually takes work as a listener. When I was young and I would get a new album of an artist that I liked, and I didn't know it yet. I couldn't sing along. I couldn't predict where a song was going, and then I would decide I didn't like it. And it would take some work. I would have to listen and listen and listen. All of a sudden I would go, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But I actually had to learn it in order to get to that place.
Yeah. You see, you're willing to go to that place. I'm willing to go. And a lot of us are willing to go to that place. Unfortunately, the listener, I don't think is willing to go to that place. I don't think they're ready for that kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's something I might experiment with, is try and get out of that kind of structure. But I don't know. I mean, it seems no matter what I do at the moment with the shadow banning that's going on, whatever I do doesn't get seen. So, I mean, that's another conversation, isn't it?
I know it's intense for creators. I often am nostalgic, wondering what would it be like if we weren't shadow banned. Yeah.
I said to the wife in the car today, I said, wouldn't it be nice if I knew somebody at Facebook or YouTube that could just remove those padlocks and just to see how this music could soar, and really reach, the kinds of people that I dream of reaching. But I've got a padlock on every social platform that I use. It's obvious. It's just, they're doing a very good job of kicking me in the balls. It's quite disheartening sometimes. But I just released a song on my channel called Bring It On, and it was all about being defiant in the face of these people that are trying to push me underground, and I'm like, bring it on. So it does that. Just the censorship alone has spurred some creativity. It's made me go into my little cave and write a song about it again. So
Yeah, brilliant. I was even gonna maybe play that for us if you don't mind.
yeah, please.
Let me see. Hopefully, oh, just a second. It auto played. I'm gonna share this. And if you guys have any questions, welcome to a few people I didn't even say hello to. We just got right deep into it. Joanne is here, and Caitlin and Stacy. Nice to have you. And so I'm going to hit the share button here. Share sound. That's the whole point.
trying to drive me underground. It's plain to see you don't want me around. Shut your mouth and don't say that again. I will tell you what to say and when. But as sure as the sun will shine, gonna stand my ground for what is mine. And the harder you try, the more I defy. Bring it on. Oh, the harder you try, the higher I fly. Bring it on. Oh, you believe the battle's almost won. I say we are done when we are done. You will never keep me in these chains, 'cause I was never born to be a slave. And as sure as the sun will shine, gonna stand my ground for what is mine. And the harder you try, the more I defy. Bring it on. Oh, the harder you try, the higher I fly. Bring it on. Oh, bring it on. I know your time is coming to an end. I know I'll never see your face again. And everything is said and all is done. You can only keep me down so long. And as sure as the sun will shine, gonna stand my ground for what is mine. And the harder you try, the more I defy. Bring it on. Oh,
You're muted.
Thank you. Rookie mistake. That was fabulous. Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. The video was a little bit laggy. I'm not sure if the other people could see that. It was quite laggy,
Oh,
but
was it?
yeah, the
Okay.
audio came through okay though.
Okay, darn. Yeah, I didn't have a lag at all on my side. I guess that's this Zoom coming through. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
bravo. That was amazing. Totally love
Thank
it.
you. I think that would make a good rock song as well, not just a ballad, because it's quite a defiant song. So I can imagine me going like really, really reaching into the gut and just go, and making it into a rock song one day, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing. What was I going to ask you about it?
I was just curious, Alex, did
Yes, go
you
ahead.
the drums? Hey, I'm Scott.
Hey, Scott.
The drums on that tune, did you sequence those in Logic or were those live drums?
Exactly. No, I sequenced those in Logic. What we did is we made the song like just the three of us first of all, and it lacked something. It was quite draggy. So I put it to the guys. Said, "Look, I'm going to make a drum track for this," and I sequenced it in Logic, and I made the track as a demo and sent it to them, and they were both like, "Ah, that's really picked it up. It wasn't so draggy anymore, and it started to have a little bit more emotion." So what we
Yeah.
did when we got into the studio, we played along to the drum track and had it really low so the microphones wouldn't pick it up so much, and we just played to keep the time in. And then afterwards, I do a little bit of processing and mix the levels and take all the muddiness out of the mix and everything, and then I match the audio to the visuals. We take a lot of visuals, and we've got a couple of three cameras here that we do all the zoom ins and everything and the close ups. It's a hell of a project, but it came out nice in the end, I think.
Great, it's great. It's awesome. It sounds great. Yeah. I mean, I've done that before on lots of music projects before where I always find it helps to have that rhythm track to play to, like whether it's drums or percussion or cajon or something, where you're
Yeah.
playing to it, it makes a big difference. But it
It
sounds
makes a massive difference. In fact, I had a gathering here at my house. I had about 80 people here, a bit of truth gathering. It was cool. And I thought, well, we've only got two acoustic guitars. What am I going to? So I went out and I spent like hundreds on some percussion and some bongos and things. And we just invited people up. And it just adds something when you've got percussion, when you've got even a tambourine or a shaker or something like that. It just adds something. I wish I knew a really good percussionist that was local to me. Well, we could definitely use him.
well, I'll come next time. I love playing percussion.
Oh, great. Right. Well, it's only Spain. It's not that far.
Yeah.
If
I
you
think
guys,
I think I know your music as well because you've commented a couple of times. I've listened to you and your wife. Is it? They're very like affirmation based kind of music. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've done a few different projects. We did a Mantras for a Magical Life album that we recorded in 432 hertz
Beautiful.
last year. We actually just releasing a kids family album today is the release day. So we call them keep songs. And so we wanted to, we're a family. We've got three kids. We have a fourth on the way, and we really wanted to try to create music for like you were talking about earlier, like so much of music is just terrible, and like the frequencies in it and the messages in it are just so bad. Like like and kids, we want music that can empower kids, lift kids up, inspire kids, help them feel loved,
Yeah.
accepted for who they are, and I mean, just so that's kind of our mission. But before that we released an album called Love in a Hurricane, which has a few, for us, there's sort of like our version of protest songs. It's not sort of calling it out necessarily, as obviously as you are in some of your lyrics and stuff, but definitely exploring some of those topics of just, new earth and questioning things. I've got a little flat earth lyric in one of my songs called Love Over Fear, and you try to plant those little seeds, right? And maybe people
Yeah.
will pick up on it and it'll shift, help them shift their perspective or their
Yeah,
consciousness.
that's exactly why I do what I do. It's a reason to get up in the morning. It's doing the polar opposite of what we currently have musically, and empowering people. I mean, why make another friggin' tepid like breakup song? With that four chord structure that we've heard a million times. Why do that? I can't go into the studio and do that. It's got to empower. But I guess a breakup song would empower someone, wouldn't it? But again, even if it's a good breakup song, you're still listening to it on Spotify that's been compressed and it's in 440 hertz. It's like poison to me at this point. That stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely less and less inclined to, I'm not less gravitate less and less to that kind of music for sure. I'm always looking for music that has messages. I mean, I remember discovering your music in 2020. That was the first time I came across, the Flat Earth Man stuff and the television watching News Believer and, all that stuff. I loved it. It made me laugh. It helped me sort of cope with what was going on too. Just like, I was like, oh my God, here's a guy I can relate to and I can connect with his lyrics and the messages, and it was awesome. So yeah, it was cool. Thank you.
No, thank you for saying that. I love getting feedback like that, and I get messages in my email and messages on Facebook and social media and that occasionally, and people say stuff like that, and it's like, and I read that, and I'm like, and it gives me a lump in my throat, and I'm like, that's why you do what you do. That's a reminder to to keep on going despite how down you might be feeling about censorship and all that kind of stuff. And you wake up just when you're at your lowest point, you wake up and someone's written this most beautiful message, and it gets me right there, and I go right, let's crack on.
Totally, totally. I mean, I thank you. You really did inspire me in that time to just sort of speak up and use my voice and, don't get too down about the censorship stuff because, my wife and I, we create this beautiful, loving, heart-centered music, but I swear even we are getting pummeled with censorship or whatever, the shadow banning or whatever it is, because, it's just for whatever reason, it feels like there's this attack on, it feels so revolutionary just to be a family, you know?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
no, like heart-centered music, it's like that's not what the music industry wants. And so I don't know, it's like, but just keep going, man, keep going.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I will definitely keep going. Yeah, it's a wonderful cult that we're in. Yeah, it does. It's just you made to feel guilty about doing the right thing, and there's a price to pay for authenticity, and no good deed goes unpunished, and all that. You're like, why is everything I do punished? It's like it's enough to get you down, but thankfully I have music, and I can, like as I said before, I can use that as my therapy and move on.
Have you ever considered touring or can you? Like, would you ever consider
Nah, well, I'd
singing gatherings
that,
and, some of those kind of things? Like, would you do play live or?
I mean, I did play live at my last gathering that was at
Yes.
my house there, but to travel, I have some visa issues which I'm currently working on, so I can't leave Spain currently. So that's an issue. I get invited to a lot of things. I get invited to Confluence and Acapulco and things. I get invited all over the place, and I have to say no because at the moment I cannot travel. But even if I could, that's a problem because it's a lot of money to take equipment, and I would rather it be a real nice, polished performance, with the right sound and with everything absolutely perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and it's a double-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse. So I wouldn't want to just turn up and use somebody else's bass amp and somebody else's guitar and just hope that it works. I'd want to have a bigger setup like that, and that takes management, that takes costs. You have to have, you have to be. I don't know. I'm not a massive fan on traveling either. I would rather do my activism from the comfort of my own home and reach more people. Because if I do a conference, let's say I did a conference, who am I reaching? 500 people. I know when you go to these conferences, just being around your own is incredible, absolutely incredible, and that experience is just it's priceless. But if I want to reach people and I'm playing to 500 people and I have to travel halfway across the world and spend thousands of my own dollars, why would I do that when I could probably reach tens of thousands if I'm lucky these days by creating something in my studio? It's a lot less hassle for me.
For sure. That's understandable. Cool, thanks.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Scott.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, wonderful music coming out of you guys. I definitely hope you share more on our House of Free Will chat. Scott, yeah, really nice to
Yeah,
have you here.
sure.
Maybe.
I just joined yesterday, so I'm kind of just discovering what it's all about and getting in there. So yeah, looking forward to that for sure.
Okay, yeah, no pressure. Nice to have you here. Hello, Dee, welcome. Glad Dee could make it. And Michelle came as well. So yeah, that whole prospect of touring, it's such a blessing right now that we have this capacity. A lot of people complain about the internet and put the black mirror down and all that kind of thing. It's like, but yeah, I'm listening to your great song this way, or I'm able to deliver a message this way. I will never put it down. I'm grateful. And I think there will come a time where we don't have access to it also, right? The price of that will be too high for us. Just like going into a restaurant without a vaccination. Like I just decided, no, I don't eat out anymore.
Yeah, I mean, what happens if, in order to log on to your operating system, you need to face scan or thumbprint or whatever? That's the point where I turn away.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I might turn away. And yet the purpose behind things can be greater than the desire to like not. I mean, I already got fingerprinted on the way to Acapulco last year, so that's already a done deal. They already got me. It is my hunger to get my workout is stronger.
Yeah.
It's getting to a point where it's stronger than my fear.
But I mean, where do you draw the line? I mean, I got fingerprinted when I went to Denver in 2018, and I felt dirty after that. I had a massive anxiety attack at the airport as well. I think that might be the radiation and everything. I was less awake then anyway. But where do you draw the line? Do you say, okay, I'm willing to be face scanned. I'm willing to be thumb printed. I'm willing to, I don't know. I mean, you draw the line at you know, having to have a inoculation, obviously, but even the face scanning and the fingerprinting is like, even that alone, just airports in general are probably the most unhealthiest places. And just traveling and just the whole thing. I've got friends that love traveling. They travel all over the world and do these conferences. They bloody love it. But for me, it's like it's a stressful thing. And then when I went to Denver, of course, I was panicking about the set. How's the sound going to be? We've got to get the visuals right and blah blah blah. And have I rehearsed enough? And just like I came back from Denver like really really stressed, and I had like cold sores on my lip, and I was just like I just went through a very very stressful time. It was a wonderful experience. I take away some incredible memories, but I just remember one how much it cost me and how stressed and what an effect it had on my health just doing that. Again, like I was saying, you know, you suffer for your art. You want it to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. I want every aspect of it to be, and that really that's quite draining, you know, particularly let alone the jet lag that I had. And it was Denver, which is, you know, I had the altitude sickness as well, and it was just all of it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, exactly. Within Acapulco, the few years that you know, nearly everybody drops over. All these big, strong men, kaboom! They were down. And then for my trip last year, the traveling was so stressful. It was overnight in Minneapolis in a poison hotel, and the fingerprinting, and getting abused by the guys who were much more tuned into the tariff war. I think at the time it made them really aggressive, if that's true or not. And so then I ended up sick for 5 out of 7 days and missed my own workshop and talk at an Acapulco. I was like, what's that for? So, you know, I kind of agree with you on the touring thing.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, do that. Do I put myself through that and know I'm going to come back sick as a dog, or do I just stick to my online activism, if you want to call it that, and I don't have to leave the house? It's like, but people say, oh, you got to get out your comfort zone. I'm like, no, I like my comfort zone. I'm comfortable there. That's why I go there, you know, and I reach more people, and you know, occasionally I might have a meet up here once a year. The last gathering that we had, we called it the Guru Gathering, and it was just so fantastic being around people like that, you know. And I want to do it again. Whether finances will allow me to do it again, we'll see. But you know, watch this space.
Righto, righto. Kristen said all the new people you find are from guest appearances on your favorite podcasts, and that seems to be the most effective way to beat the algorithm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Our own networks and
Yeah,
referrals.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. You've mentioned the word perfectionism many times, and one of the programs that I help people to release, it's called the Perfect Program. It says from the unconscious, if you don't get it perfect, something bad is going to happen. You're going to die. Somebody's going to die. Destruction will come in place. And so it's, you know, it's an Achilles heel when you've got an idea coming through and it's birthing. And first of all, do you feel like it has a life of its own, that it's almost a kind of creature coming through you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel that if I don't get it perfect, someone's going to die or whatever. I don't feel like there's going to be something bad happen if I don't get it perfect. It's because I have a very, very good ear for music, and I can hear when something is microscopically off from timing perspective or from a tuning perspective. And that has to be right. It's not like, oh my God, it's just like I'll hear something and then I'll listen to it back with fresh ears. And I go, there's a harmony out there, there's a harmony. And I'll go and I'll repair and But most people would just leave that or wouldn't even hear it. But because I hear everything, I have to spend a lot of time, you know, manipulating all the variables just to get it absolutely perfect. As long as I'm happy with it, that's the best I can. As long as I approach it with it sounds good, and I can't make it sound any better. It might not be perfect, but if I gave it to some, you know, world famous music producer, he could probably tweak it a little bit more and make it sound a little bit more crisp. But I'm like, it's just got to be a good song. It's got to sound good. It's got to have something empowering. And as long as I can achieve those things, I won't beat myself up too much about it, but it has to be at a level where it gives me goosebumps and I'm proud of it, not proud, but satisfied with it, you know. Yeah, so that's the challenge that I have, being able to hear everything microscopically. And we had a little bit of not an altercation, but I was pointing out one of my band members' harmonies that it wasn't right, and I kept pointing it out because it wasn't right, and he got really frustrated with me because I could hear it. I think he could hear it. He was getting frustrated with himself that he couldn't do it, and he took it out on me. So there's those awkward moments where you're like, I've got a good ear, and I have to point out when something's not right. I have to go, stop. Can we fix this? And so, so that is it's a blessing and a curse having a good ear.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say this, it's perfectionism versus excellence, that you don't have to, you don't need programming, you don't need fear in order to move towards excellence. And even though, like in that context where you're doing it from freedom, you hear something and you know that it's not going to go away. It'd be like me leaving a typo on the page when I see it, or me letting it slip when I'm like, oh yeah, there's a hole in the logic as I'm writing here, or there's something missing for the audience or the reader. And if I just leave it, then it's not in integrity with me. So, the programming is unconscious. Nobody's aware of using it and that they're running from death. They're not aware of that. It's just a compulsion on the outside. But the desire for excellence doesn't have to be that. It's just that's again just back to our theme of learning and growing, right? That you can be satisfied in the process.
Yeah, and if 6 months down the road I listen to one of the songs I made in the car and I notice a mistake, I won't go, oh my God, let's do it again. Let's re-release it. Right. Let's remaster it. I'm like, okay, I'll learn from that, So it's not like I put myself into a world of despair if there are mistakes. I try not to make any mistakes. Like, punctuation, like you're saying, if you see it, you have to amend it. But if further down the road you read the book and there's a punctuation error, you're like, oh, well, it's too late. No, well, it's not the end of the world. I'll be a little bit more careful next time.
I often wonder if there's like that human element, especially with the prevalence of AI now, and how when AI music, it's like it makes it so perfect that it sounds fake. It's like you obviously want it to sound as good as you possibly can make it. Like there's that human element where you want it to also sound real and like there's some feel in it, and like I don't know, like I totally get what you're saying though, because I'm kind of that same way in the studio where it's like you're capturing something and people are going to listen to it over and over and over again, right? So
yeah,
you want it to sound as good as you can, but it's
exactly because like when something goes on the internet, a video, you're only going to do it once. You're only ever going to do that song once, and it has to be in every aspect, as far as I'm concerned, as best as I can get it. That Bring It On song, I fought with that and fought with that and fought with that just to try and get it sound clean and crisp and nice. So yeah, it's just the AI stuff. So even with the drums in Logic that we were talking about, there's a button on there that says you can humanize it, and so it gives that sort of slightly offbeat feel. So it's not absolutely quantized to the beat. You want to have it a little bit loose, but not so loose where you're like the drummer's not keeping time. You just want those little ghost notes to just so where you can. So you've got to create that feel. So there's a fine line, and you're right that AI music is just absolutely dreadful. It sounds so auto-tuned and perfect currently, but I do think that they're going to be working on that, and there will come a time where you'll hear an AI song and won't know it's an AI song. I like to think that I have the ears to discern the difference if that day ever comes, but it's all compressed, all 440. It's soulless. There's no intent in there at all, is there?
No, it's not my favorite. I've listened to some AI music and I don't understand the appeal.
No. Well, the appeal is it's fast and convenient, just like the appeal of an MP3, fast and convenient. You can get more on your phone, right? It's in the name of convenience, right? But of course, it's a massive bastardization. MP3s lose 90% of their audio information. So there's a thing. You're taking out 90% of the audio information that I put into it. How dare you? So, that and AI music is just it's convenience. That's what the appeal is.
Mm.
Yeah, it's empty. I don't like it. It's when I hear it, I actually outright reject it. As soon as I realize something's AI, then my brain goes, I don't want to spend time. To me, it's a time thing. Like I'd rather take in something that a human created and in the process create some kind of relationship with that human, whether I get to know them or not. I'm interacting with it. And the less than perfect, not that you would go out of your way to make it less than perfect, but that's what makes us approachable. I always said that was one of my claim to fame. I'm not that, amazing musician. People would find me that they could come and talk to me. They would ask me to teach them to sing. Well, I'm not a professional singer. I love to sing, but they would somehow see me as able to teach them because I'm not perfect. And I was going to just take a pass at redos. This is a very big subject in the creative world where you did, there was a take, if we're still talking music, and things weren't quite there like you had envisioned. And then redos, in my estimate, tend to get worse. I was the kind of musician that the recordings that I did almost always, probably 90% of the time, I got it on the first take. And it's because I knew it would probably degrade as I went on, got exhausted, got stressed out. There was one song that I did with a fairly big collaboration, and those musicians were perfectionists, and we were like 7 hours doing and redoing and redoing and redoing. My part was done. I just did it once and it was done. But they had to go through every little micro, pull out one bar of music and have to redo that 7 times or 8 times or whatever. So any thoughts on that?
It is a painful process if you're that way. I mean, it. You can leave some stuff in that isn't, but some of the mistakes that we make are so noticeable that they have to be done again. You forget a lyric completely or whatever, or
Right.
you totally hit the bum note. Those things have to be taken out and re-recorded again. And it depends on the person as well when they're recording. Like you are a one take wonder. You step up to the microphone and sing and blah blah blah, and it's your one take. Great, fantastic. But some people need to do the first take, second take. And I'm one of these people that I need to do a good 5 or 6 takes of the vocal before I'm really into it, and I'm really confident with the song and I know it inside out. And then I reach for that place and I know where I'm going. So for me, I've done a few one take wonders, but I don't know. I just like getting a lot more confident with the song and just keep those old takes, of course, because if there's you did the beginning of the line brilliantly in this take, and you did the end of it rubbish, and then you did another take, but the end was perfect, then you can match those together in the software. You can do little cheats like that. And that's the kind of stuff I do with my editing. If you record it again and again and again, it's just, I don't know. I guess it's different people. It's different recording techniques. It's different. I find that if I, sing a song a good few times and get comfortable with where I'm sitting and everything and getting comfortable that I am actually being recorded, because as we spoke about before we came on, as soon as something's being recorded, everything changes. I could do some of the best guitar licks in the world when I'm not being recorded. As soon as that camera goes on, it's like, it's a bloody nightmare. So yeah, I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's one of the reasons to put yourself in front of the camera or to record often. That was another thing that allowed me to learn much more quickly is I would record things or I'd get a staged recording or something. I'd go back and listen and I'd go like, oh my God, in this way, almost horrified. But the learning curve was strong in that way
Yeah,
because I would
yeah.
get that instant reflection the next time I got on stage or whatever it was. It was remarkably different. So
Yeah, you could learn a lot from your mistakes, can't you? That's just just a general rule to live by, really. Mistakes are good, and that's very apparent in the music world for sure.
exactly. And as much as I'm not trying to like brag about being a one take wonder, it was literally out of fear of the redos getting worse. And it's like, okay, this is good enough, actually.
Yeah.
What was I going to say about that? I can't remember now. Let's see what other directions I wanted to go in. What about when it comes to, you said you were more of a one-man band, and then now you've moved towards collaborating with other musicians. What's the difference in those two arenas, and what made you attached to being a one-man band?
I I don't know. I tried working with other musicians 20 years ago, and I just couldn't settle into it. I always wanted to control every aspect. Maybe it's because I hear things and I don't know. Maybe I worked with a lot of weak links. Maybe I didn't find the right musicians, back in the day. So I always thought I'll just do it on my own. So I just became this solo artist that went out to pubs playing the guitar. Sometimes I use backing tracks, but mostly just acoustic guitar. And at least I was in control of my own world. And every time I tried to work with another musicians, they wouldn't turn up on time. I'm a stickler for time. Like I'm always early. I think if you're late, I think lateness is rudeness. And musicians, for some reason, don't have watches or clocks, or they can't tell the time. And that used to frustrate the hell out of me. Just things like that. It's like, oh, okay, I'll do it on my own. And, then I started a ringtone business, and I started making my own ringtones and making some money. And I was just in control of every aspect of every sound. And I kind of like that as a, control freak, if you like. And I thought, well, this is way better than working with other musicians. They don't, no one's turning up late. I just get to do it when I want, and no one's telling me what to do. And, because I've always have a problem with authority. I don't like people telling me what to do. So I've always just like stuck to working on my own until very recently, in the last year, really, I bumped into a guy in the next town up, completely. I mean, how the hell that happened, I don't know. Totally on my wavelength, Dutch guy, plays brilliant guitar, and we just hit it off. He's on board with everything that we know, cosmologically speaking as well. So it was just like this gift that just bumped into this guy, and then all of a sudden we started working together. We worked together really well. I'm like, oh, I can work with other people. That's cool. Steve Faulkner as well is another great example. I just really resonated with him and his message. And I really like the guy. He's very, very earthy. And he sent me some songs. And I'm like, dude, this is really good. Like, he said, oh, I want to come over, like, and we'll jam and stuff. And, if we make a song, we make a song. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm thinking, I don't really work with other people very well, but we'll try. And we got on like a house on fire. We had an absolute blast, and we made a really, really good song. So it's moments like that where you go, maybe I can work with other people. And that was a lot of fun. Let's try doing it again. And like I say, bumped into Franz, and now we've got Jasper on the bass, and he's on the level with us as well. And like, we're all working together, and, there might be some tension every now, but it's not as hard as I remember it being. So it's like, there's a whole new chapter maybe unfolding where I'm like, well, maybe I might be in a band. I don't know. I think I might be in a band, actually. I'm not sure yet.
That's so fun. And do you think that there's an evolution where this is my idea that you have to establish on your own first? Because if you try to go into a collaboration without really understanding yourself as a creative, then there's going to be a lot of push and pull. And so, yeah, you're not.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but I guess what I've done in the past is my apprenticeship to where I am now, and same with these guys as well. So, there would be a lot more push and pull. We kind of worked. I guess you're right. Yeah. So it's kind of everything I've done has led me to this moment. And I think as well, they have a little bit of respect for me as well. They've seen what I've done, and they see what I can do. So, so I'm not afraid to say, how about trying before working with other musicians, they can be quite, they're like little artistic tantrums. If you say, I don't like what you just played there, can you play it differently? You often met with, how dare you, that kind of reaction. But these guys, if you say, no, why don't you try this chord? They're like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. And you find yourself working together. It's like, it's kind of a beautiful thing, really. It's something very, very new to me, but I'm embracing it.
There you go. Yeah, it's a rare soul who could take any creative direction of any kind. I definitely have had that experience where I was always the lead of a band when I had bands. And there were, lots of moments where people were super uncomfortable. Either they're trying to control me, and it's like, well, it's my song, you guys, it's my band, and I'm taking all the responsibility. I'm paying you. Did you remember that part? And and then there was one woman, you could not say a thing to her, any kind of feedback or direction or anything. Her ego would explode on everybody.
And that's what I thought most people were like, because there's a lot of ego in musicians. So that's one of the reasons I was like, oh no, it's just, I'll do it on my own. But but now I'm working with, I did the stuff with Steve. When you get into this, you meet people like that. They're not attached to ego. Like, and if I say to Steve, like, no, he'll go, oh, okay, you don't like that? Okay, cool. What do you want to try something else, man? I'm like, that's the kind of reaction that you expect from, when you're working with conscious people, they're less aggressive. They're just nicer people. So I think I'm in a new age, I hate to say that, right? A new world of of musicianship now, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, yeah, I've got no time for those people that you can't say anything to, that you're walking on eggshells and you dare say, that didn't sound good, But that's my job as a musician, as a producer, to say that didn't sound good. And if you've got someone that can't take that, then you get a bit of an atmosphere.
Exactly. Yeah. And then creatives somehow get away with all of this. Like not showing up on time, not being responsible, not doing what they say they were going to do, not like it's somehow a license to be a loser and not responsible, not accountable. Not to say that's everybody, but it's fairly common that you've seen that like, well, I'm a great player. That doesn't make up for everything else.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you can turn up 2 hours late, does it?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's another, there's a lot of rebel archetype in there, what you're talking about. The creative control, I love that personally. I love having mediums. Nobody comes and tells me what to do. They give me feedback and I take it and I'll take it in and analyze it or, decide whether I want to do that or not, and go that direction or not. But I love no one telling me what to do or trying to say, oh, it should be like this, or we're not going to pay you unless it's like this. So that's,
Yeah, I'm in a slightly different boat because there's no money involved, thankfully, and I don't really want there to be any money involved or anyone to be paid. I mean, I can't even sell my own CDs, let alone if I release one with the band. So we're working together really nicely. If there's money involved and I'm not going to pay you unless and blah blah blah, then tensions are going to get higher. So I really hope. I don't know. I would love to be able to monetize what we do, but I had a conversation with my wife this morning about this. I said, if we do start, trying to monetize it, then you've got to start getting contracts involved, and who's going to take a split, and who contributed the most to this track, and who wrote this, and who, and then it gets really messy in a way. Then the fun kind of comes out. Then it becomes a business, and I don't want that kind of atmosphere in the studio. I just want to get together with my friends and have a jam and make a song and get really creative and we have fun with it, So it's very scary, like the thought of, shall we make a YouTube channel with our band and try and monetize it? And shall we release these songs? And then it's like, oh, you're getting into a world of like finances and it's just like, it becomes dirty then, But, you have to be rewarded if you're going to put your heart and soul into this because we've all got bills. So it's a very, very difficult one to navigate.
exactly. Yeah, because otherwise you're faced with having a job in order to support your art that you want to do freely, or you engage with commerce through your art and make the sacrifice of that. So yeah, personally, I've always chosen, if possible, to do the work that I do full time and accept the fact that it's not just fun. It's an obligation. It's a responsibility. It's something that I have to do. That works in my favor because if I didn't have to do it, I might not do it. I might get myself lazy in the process, but I totally go where you're going. And especially when it comes to selling art, there is something different about that. And
Everybody wants it for free for a start. So there's your problem right there. So everybody wants music for free because the streaming platforms like Spotify have just totally ruined that now. They are killing independent musicians. So everybody wants you. It's crazy, If I was in a piano bar and I played the most amazing song and I had the most amazing lyrics and the whole everyone's applauding, they're on their feet, they're hugging me, and they go, "Thank you, you changed my life. It was so emotional." And then you go, well, this might be a good time to put the hat around and see if people will put $1 in. And then people are offended. Like they'll go, how dare you? Like you're in this for the money, are you? It's like, so there's that aspect to it as well. There's a censorship aspect to it as well. It's like painful.
Exactly. Yeah, and there is but the potential. I'm not giving you advice or anyone else, but I always was wondering how to take this very dysfunctional music industry that rejected me outright, kind of like Scott was saying, that, I was positive, I was happy, I wanted to inspire people. They didn't like that. They didn't like I had a music photo and I was smiling and the radio guy goes, "This isn't a music shot." And I'm like, "Oh, right, you're not supposed to be happy. Got it. Okay, I'll go back to the drawing board, get some misery on." And but yeah, it's a weird world that if you can't do your art as your, because it's a life's work, It's something that could develop and expand and touch a lot of people. So how to potentially combine the art in a way that your society doesn't already have, oh, here's your slot and here's your genre and here's your competition or all of that kind of thing, to create in a way that is including of your art, but maybe much more expansive as well, to include more of who you are. So that's just my dream.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things that I've struggled with is how to, because I don't want to be a market, I don't want to be a businessman. I want to be a creative, but I understand that I have to market myself. I have to get the message out there in order for what I'm doing to be seen. So, I'm trying to navigate that world of trying to, get some marketing behind it and get some search engine optimization on my website and get what my album's seen more, because I know they have profound effects on people. But in order to do that, to get marketing, that costs money. And if people want what you do for free, how do I provide the money to get? It's like this eternal thing that I just can't seem to get my head around how to make it work. So I'm trying lots of different avenues, but recently I've been out there going, please support, and I never wanted to be that guy. I always wanted to, try and give it away for free, but as the more I do, it's like it's becoming impossible to dedicate all the time in the world to this, and so I've been sort of doing a bit of like, please support me on Patreon and that, and trying to build that up, and it's a very slow and painful process, but I'm getting there slowly.
I hear you. A few comments in the chat here. Dee, I'm not sure if you meant to write more there when you said the song, if there was another something. And Tanya said, yes, because we do this as our passions, so why would we expect to be paid? That's a big part of it, isn't it? That if it's something that you love, you genuinely love doing it, and then you're there, some people can actually feel guilty for charging for what they love to do and doesn't feel like work.
I feel guilty. Every time I say, please support me on Patreon or whatever, I feel like I shouldn't be doing this because I love it, but it does need supporting. I have to be real. So yeah, I get it. It's, yeah, but again, it's a painful process as well. So I love it, but I love, inflicting that much pain on myself. I wouldn't have it any other way.
There you go. That's funny. And Tanya was being sarcastic. Yeah, I think we caught that. Dee said, do you really think We Went to the Moon was so funny to show my young sons? They sing it at school when they're challenged about their understanding of our world.
Brilliant. That's
Thank
exactly
you.
what it was made for. Brilliant. Now get the teacher to wheeling the big screen and play it to the whole class.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so fun. I love it. Let's see, where else was I going to go on?
Hey, I was going to jump in on,
Please go
the
ahead.
moon. My cousin who was homeschooled, I showed him your video, when they were going through the process years ago. And my cousin did a presentation to his homeschool group on, the moon landing being fake. And it was inspired by your song, Alex. So
See.
there you go. That's, and I've supported you with buying some of your stuff, but I know it's so hard to put a price on, you changed other people's consciousness by making a song, dude. God bless you.
I know. Thank you,
whatever
man.
you believe, there is a divine force that's running through you, Alex, and you change people's lives, my man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, and that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. That's where I can now go to my grave. I can be on my deathbed going, you know what, I tried, and that stuff will always. If we've got the internet, then that stuff will always be there. And I've got physical children's books as well, so I like the idea of that always being there on some dentist in a dentist waiting room. There's someone picks up the book and it changes their life, or just gets them to critically think a little bit and sows those seeds. And every now and then I see them germinate, and then they germinate so well that people message me and go, you changed my life, man. So yeah, that's a real beautiful thing, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's beautiful. Welcome, Melanie, and a few others who came in the chat or in the room. And she was talking about her and I are thinking along the same lines exactly when you talked about the guilt of expressing your Patreon, which, by the way, we should grab links and share with people here. What would it be like if you let go of the guilt? Maybe Melanie's offering to help with that.
Okay, interesting.
She's one of my coaches. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It can be extremely freeing because the guilt is actually what separates you from your audience, believe it or not. Like the function of that emotion in that range on the scale of emotion, like the musical scale, its function is to separate and to make sure that there's not that state of oneness, which otherwise that can happen. That to me was the most beautiful observation of listening to music when I was young and without filters, is I saw that it was a kind of living, breathing oneness. That when when they put that sound into the air, it's not just in them and their guitar, it's in all of our bodies and I can feel all my cells are resonating with that song. It's a kind of communion, you could almost say, like we're eating the same food and having an experience of oneness. So it's got a lot of potential for that. So yeah, maybe I'll say, we'd be happy to help you with that if you want. Hold still.
Okay, remove the guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one other comment too was I love to hear the cooperation and collaboration that you're now doing, Alex, because I feel that too. I've sort of felt with some of the courses that I took, and this awareness that many people have, that you got to go out and do something, that you have to be this one person show with your channel or whatever and grow it. But it's been said that some of the most successful people in life have been able to create and do more and reach more people by cooperating and collaborating. So I think that that's an awesome step and maybe a good learning lesson for all of us.
That's a really good point, because people are not just, they don't get bored with the one personality. What I've got beside me, I have two very distinct personalities, and if I let them, shine through and let them speak and have interviews and all that kind of thing, they'll see that we're a unit, and that we are, a group, and we have our different personalities. And I'd love to let people really understand what goes on when we get together, and not just in terms of music, but in terms of the conversations. They're fascinating. I wish we could have a fly on the wall camera and start broadcasting that, and then that people resonate with, just that little communion, if you like. Community, that's probably the better word, not communion. Wrong word?
Yeah, closely related though.
Right.
Yeah, very cool. So one of the things I was wanting to ask you about was when an idea is coming through, that moment where something hasn't been created yet. I've actually spent the week writing about this, so I'm very interested. But there's something, there's something coming through. It's not nothing. Melanie's a songwriter as well. She's nodding her head here. So yeah, we've got lots of creatives among us. Hello, Mara, by the way. I didn't say hello before. And so what is that? I was writing about it like there's a pressure, actually, whether it's, anyway, I should let you talk rather than say my ideas.
Well, so you're really talking about inspiration. What is it? What is it? What does that feel like? And how does that come through? I mean, it comes from me personally. I think everyone's different. For me, it happens in a myriad of different ways.
Yeah.
When I spoke about COVID, I was angry, and I was like, you bloody believe the television, and you just haven't got your own mind, and you can't critically think, and blah 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 blah. And I made all that rhyme, and it turned into television watching news, believe it or not, which I still think is a great song. And so that's how that happened, and that was really born from anger, I guess, or frustration. So that was that particular song. I Told You So was a very similar process, just being angry, like, I've told you about this, and why can't you bloody see it? I told you, remember when I told you about 9/11? Remember when I told you about building stuff? And I just so that was built from just frustration. Mm-hmm. But other songs are built differently. I made a song called You Were Right, and that was written because of my father-in-law had too many of those arm spears, and he ended up with blood clots and in a hospital bed. And I remember and he finally saw that what we'd been saying to him for years and years and years and years were true. And I think he had this moment of like, oh shit, they were right. And I just pictured him in his hospital bed saying, fuck, they were right. So I wrote a song called You Were Right. And it's from the perspective of him, like sick in his hospital bed. So that came from a sadness. So that was my inspiration for that. And the song I just did, Bring It On, was inspired by another song, which a reggae song called The Harder They Come, The Harder They Fall. It was by Jimmy Cliff, and it was a reggae song, and it was quite defiant lyrics. And I thought, well, I like the defiant lyrics, but making it reggae just doesn't do it for me. Maybe we'll take the lyrics and put a completely different chord structure to it, which I did. And I sent it to the boys and I went, oh, brilliant. I love this chord structure so much. And I thought, I love it as well. Wouldn't it be a shame to use somebody else's lyrics on this song? So I completely rewrote it and it became Bring It On. It was like a defiance song. We kept the theme of defiance. So that inspiration came from just my bass player going, what do you think of this song? So that came differently. It's not like I'm tuning in, meditating, and I feel something in my soul and then go, da da, oh my God, this is magic. It just happens from life experiences that just inspire me, things that inspire me, just like something happens like, today, like, I mean, I won't write a song about my broken guitar, but today, like, my guitar broke and I was like, I've just bought it, man. It's like, oh God, I won't write a song about that, but you could. That's where my inspiration comes from. When shit happens, I go, there might be a song in this, so it comes from just my life experience. It's not like a download, a feeling that I get. It's just from experience that inspires me, just from a certain, my wife came in one day from, going out shopping in 2020 and everyone was wearing these masks and that. And I said, well, they're television watching news believers. And when I said that, I was like, that's a great phrase, television watching news believer, television watching news believer. And I could hear Metallica, like James Hetfield going, television watching news believer. And I was like, oh, this has got to be. So I totally stole a Metallica riff for that song. So that inspired me for that. It's just like coming from, like, it might be something someone says. And I go, that's a great title for a song. Let's write that. Clown World. Like, well, let's do that, Someone said the other day, like, we started singing "What a Wonderful World," and I thought, well, why don't we change the lyrics to that? And I see clouds of white or chemtrails of white instead of trees of green. And I thought, so it's like it's conversations you have with people, it's experiences that go, that's a good idea for a song. That's inspired me for this particular style or whatever.
Exactly. And so what's happening for you in that moment when you get that, it goes from being angry or sad or just like, oh, that's smart or, creative or brilliant, whatever it is. What's happening in your consciousness in that moment?
So many different things. With the television watching news believer example, I'm hearing James Hetfield shouting into a microphone. I'll pick up my Ibanez guitar, which is really good for a rock sound. I'll plug it in and I'll do a similar riff to a Metallica. I go down, 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 down. And I'm like, that's good, right? Well, let's record that. Let's get a drum to that, and it just expands from that point. Once I think this is a good idea. It just expands from that point. Or sometimes I'll go, we need to do a really solemn, soft song and like a love song, which was what You Were Right was about my father-in-law in his hospital bed. So at that time I picked up the acoustic guitar and started finger picking. It was a very nice little melody that I worked out, and I wanted the chorus to be, you were right, I was wrong. You warned me for so long. How I wish I would have listened. Now I've ended up like this, and I can feel my heart is breaking. Myocarditis. My body won't stop shaking, and I wonder if I'll make it through the night. Even by singing that, I'm getting a lump in my throat because he was like, will I make it through the night? Because my body won't stop shaking, and I feel my heart is breaking. It sounds like a love song, but when you think about it and you really analyze the lyrics, so that needed something a lot more low key. And an acoustic guitar is really good for, finger picking style on acoustic guitar. And if you added strings to that, you want some emotion in there, an orchestra maybe. And but it works really well just with a couple of acoustic guitars. So that's what goes through my mind. I'm like, what kind of sound does this require? What kind of emotion do I want? What kind of instrument do I want? Maybe this will be, I made a song called I Want You to See, which is a song about a husband very frustrated with his wife because she can't see what he sees. So I thought, well, this is pretty much a love song. We need a piano for this. So I'm like, right, let's make some nice, sort of major minor chords and some really just, making that change from major to minor and making, so we need a piano for that. So that's what's going through my brain now. We're like, right, I need to figure out some chords for this. So usually it's written down first. I've got something to work with, lyrically, and I can then take that and develop it from there.
Right. Beautiful. That's amazing. I would notice for myself that it would come from every possible angle. I would get, like you said, a phrase of words. All of a sudden, it implied some kind of a rhythm, and like I can totally relate to your Metallica example. Or I would be, I have a band that practices a lot. I thought it was a church, but it turns out the band practices in the church. It's not just a raucous
Rock and
church.
roll, baby, rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I get their drum beats and their bass lines right through into my place. And sometimes I'll just use it instead of try to fight it or drown it out. I
Right.
will actually use it and work with it. I can sing to my distiller quite a lot. It's got a pure
I
tone.
love it.
I sing
Love
to
it.
the bathroom fan. I can sing to my electric toothbrush because it has tones in it.
Yeah, yeah, completely. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love that you use the world like that. That's brilliant.
The other night I was having fun just because I'm teaching the course in creativity, so I really want to be part of the process and not just academically be teaching. And so I was going to I want to save some bananas from death, so I was going to cut them up, put them in the freezer. And along the way, the metal bowl tinged on my little tag on my sweats, and it made a bong kind of sound. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. So I ended up with a whole song. Literally, it would have looked ridiculous on video, but I'm like, banging myself with the bowl, with the song in the
I
background.
love it.
It was so many different overtones. There was so many places to go with it vocally in that respect. So it was just, something.
I love that. I often find myself like banging things for tone out and just like doing rhythm and things and just tapping. When I'm in the car, my wife hates this, but I'm tapping on the dash, I'm tapping on the window, and I'm like, I'm a drummer while I'm driving. So I totally I totally understand what you're doing there. It's inspiring stuff. I love it.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah. And it often doesn't have any, from my side, thought of an audience and production and the work that's going to go into it. So that can be very freeing in itself. The professional thing is different, right? You're at a different level of responsibility. Maybe your income is in the picture at some level. You're taking creative risks and you're investing in that process. So how do you keep it? How do you keep it with the same kind of freshness and almost naivete in a way? Like I would write songs and someone would tell me like, you can't make music that way. And it's like, well, I did it anyway. I already
Yeah,
did it.
exactly. I kind of have faith in a way. I know because like with everything that's happened in my life, I know I'll figure it out. I know I'll figure it out. It's not a problem. It's going to push me in other directions. It's just like I'm going to do it anyway. And I've always been that. And when someone said to me, when I said to a friend of mine at the bar once, I said I'm going to start a ringtone company, and he went, "What?" I said, "Ringtones, yeah." He said, "Oh, I can't see it myself." And he was like so down about it. It's like, and I walked out of there going, "You know what? I'm gonna make this bloody way." And I did make it. Well, that's what got me to Spain. Ringtones were very good to me in the day. It's like when those negative comments go, you go like, "I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna bloody do it anyway, regardless of what happens." And so I do kind of have a level of faith that I'll just figure it out. And I don't really worry like, you know, it's just I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'd rather be broke and happy than rich and miserable.
Right on. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Wow. Powerful. Let's see if there's anything else I had that I was wanting to talk about. How about the million variables when you hit the creative blank slate? And there's a lot of different directions to go in, especially musically. Like, I will come up with one bass line, one melody, something like that. And then I'm kind of stuck because I don't have a hugely versatile repertoire. I can't do the jazz and the reggae and the this and then that like my son's dad can. He can, you just tell him any genre and he'll start to play that song in that genre. I imagine it's the same with you.
Yeah.
So when you have a million variables, how does direction get chosen in that context?
I guess my mind chooses that. I know that there's certain instruments that will work, and if I'm doing a reggae song, I want to find the reggae kind of drum kit and the reggae kind of bass and that stab on the electric guitar and maybe a little toy piano sort of stab on it for reggae. There's certain things that you have to choose, certain kind of instruments, certain kind of sounds that you have to choose. You can't go, "I'm going to use a sitar for this," or "I'm going to use a handpan or whatever for. I mean, maybe you could, but Well, there's a thought. But
Yeah.
no, for me, see now you've got me going off in a million different directions, right? I was quite happy, like in my little reggae box there, and I'm like now I'm considering handpan reggae.
That's fun.
Brilliant. But no, I just, I guess I know that there are certain instruments that, and I do experiment to a certain degree, but I'm always looking for a certain type of sound. As I discussed before, I'm looking for a hard rock sound for this, or I'm looking for a love song. So I know kind of what instruments to go to. I know there are a million other instruments that I could use and a million other different sounds I could use. But if I'm going for a certain type of sounds, there are ones that I just go, this needs a piano. This needs some strings. This needs that. This needs that. Or maybe, I've never really gone, really full sort of really experimental world kind of music that requires, all sorts of really weird and wonderful instruments. Maybe one day I'll do that. But I kind of like the little box that I'm in at the moment where I know piano and strings is always a good combination for emotion. And, acoustic guitar is always good for a love. So, there's certain things that I just know work. With the solfeggio stuff that I'm doing, however, that does get me going in some creative directions. I use, some sound effects and some synths and some, world sounds and nature sounds and that kind of thing, birds in the background and all that sort of stuff. And, making it really chill, maybe a little bit of rainfall in the background or wind effects, that kind of thing. So, just to make it, really chilled and ambient, and use a lot more ambient sounds there. So that does push me in a more, I know I've got a whole plethora. I'm using gongs and things and Tibetan singing bowls in those albums. So that does push me a little bit more out of the box. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. And yeah, your creative life can end up feeling like a chess game that you play, trying to figure out every single possible potential move that your opponent is going to make. And then so you try to mentally, I keep saying you, but it's not you, Alex, just, in general, that there's this attempt to work your way through every possible option and then choose and decide. And I can't think of anything more depressing to a creative spirit than that. Then it becomes this, I'll try on this option, I'll try on that option, I'll try on this option, I'll try on that, and this is better than that, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
You'll get lost in just an internal loop if you're looking for the right snare drum. Dick, 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 and you're listening to that there must be a better one here somewhere. As long as it sounds good, it's got to sound good. But I understand why people go down that, because there's an obsessiveness to that, isn't there?
yeah, there can be. And just like a more of like a mental thing rather than, because creative can be different. Yes, you're using your mind, but the actual creative entry into from something to not, or from nothing to something, that's not mental. That's not thought of. Or at least my best stuff hasn't been thought of. It's just like, woo, it's coming out of me. Oh, there's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
pressure kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, my Flat Earth Man album was very much like that. When I was learning all of that stuff about the shenanigans at NASA, there just was this huge creative burst in me. I've got to tell the world, right? And of course, if I tell the world this amazing stuff, everyone will love me. Didn't quite work out that way, but yeah, there was this like just need to get it out. It was like, oh my God, moon landing, ISS, satellites, gravity. It goes on and on and on. And I made a song about everyone. I had to get this out. Yeah, so I can relate.
There you go. Yeah, the baby's coming.
Yeah, it's literally in
Yeah.
labor at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So any other thoughts or questions or comments, anything you guys want to share at this stage? Nice to have all of you here today. Nice to see you. Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought I'd share a story because Alex, you just made me think about reggae. But a little over 10 years ago, I was down in Key West, and it just sort of, this message was just sort of spread around the Keys by a flyer that Stephen Marley was going to come and play on the pier, Key West. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'm like a semi-retired dude with no schedule. I can't really work and get it. So I'm in the Keys. I go, all right, I'm going. Stephen comes directly from Kingston, Jamaica with his whole crew, all their instruments in their boat. They pull up to the pier right at the end of Key West, unload, set up all their gear, play a show. It was awesome. And then they packed up all their gear and went back to Jamaica. So I don't even know if they didn't go through customs. So this is an alternative method for, your new band to travel potentially via ship
That's
by
old
water.
school. I love it.
And, it's funny because think about it. That's, NASA with all their, satanic bullshit that they do. They're using maritime language and all, and of course, space and all of the constellations. They steal all of that and put it into their shit. But yeah, just thought I would share that story and a way to spread your creativity.
Well, I'm gonna need a bigger boat, I think.
Yes, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Yeah.
No pressure. We'll come and pick you up, meet you in Florida.
Yeah, I'll see you there when I've got my boat and my crew and my skipper's license and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Mild complications. So I only have one question left, and we are pushing 2 hours here, so this has been amazing.
Wow, that went quick.
I know, it's so lively. And are there times of day that are more conducive to creating for you? I've really tried to become a full-on day person. And my history is much more alive at night. And, sometimes, darn, I'm on my way to bed, literally. And it's like, oh, but the guitar is sitting right there. And 2 more hours. And it's a little bit of a wrestle. I have to say, I wrestle with it. Do you find that the night is more conducive to creative energy, or
I've changed completely. I was a night owl for so many years. I was a DJ for 10 years. I was a karaoke compere as well. And I was out till 3 o'clock in the morning in some cases and gigging and everything. And I was always a night person, always. But now as I've gotten older, I see the benefits of getting up when the sun comes up and going to sleep when the sun goes down. And I've been doing that recently. And I find now my creative time is first thing in the morning. After I've had a shower, I'm straight in the studio and I'm here for 4 hours straight. And I don't do 8 hours in the studio. I can't. I don't think humans are designed to be sitting in front of a screen for 8 hours a day. I just can't do that. I try and balance that with getting out, like for instance, today. 4 hours in the studio. Then the wife and I went. It was a beautiful sunny day, so we went down to the coast and we had a bite to eat and a drink and just get a bit of fresh air and a walk. So I find like just doing like a few hours in the morning. That's when I'm at my my energetic high. That's when I've had enough sleep and I'm just fresh ears in the studio. And then after about 4 hours, it's the speakers start to get a bit tired as well. They suffer from speaker fatigue. Your ears start to get a bit tired, so you can't hear as clearly. So after about 4 hours, I'm ready to take a break. And when someone says, "Hey, you want to come to the thing?" It starts at 8 o'clock. I'm like, "Dude, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. What are you talking about, man? Like that's ridiculous. We've got a party. We want you to come. What time does it start? 9 o'clock." No, sorry, there's no way. What are you doing? Like 9 o'clock? It start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll be there for sure. So now I've gone from like being a night owl to completely flipping, and my creative juices come like first thing in the morning. I mean, when I'm sitting on the sofa at night and I'm having a smoke, maybe I'll get some ideas for some lyrics, or I'll be listening to a podcast and I go, "Oh, that's great! What a great line! That's a great," and then a song will come out of that. And that might be a time for writing for me in the evening when I'm a little bit more somber. But when I've got the energy and I've got the get up and go and the spark, and that's usually for me first thing in the morning. So I'm a morning guy when it comes to creativity, but an evening guy when it comes to when I'm in the right mindset. So yeah, it's a bit of both really, but I am in bed by 10 o'clock the latest.
Good for you. That's amazing. Yeah,
It's not exactly rock and roll. I know it's not, but that is what it is.
Right. And then you're also pointing towards that distinction between the, like the little creative spark that can come more in the night, in the times. How many times I get a wild, great creative idea by between when I'm not quite sleeping and I'm not quite awake anymore, like right in that time, and then it's like, damn it, I have to get up and write that down, or something like that.
I get that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, Dean, wake up now. Here's an idea. I forget what you do sleeping. Come on. Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it comes when it comes. And there was at one point I said, I'm going to slave to this creative energy. I don't care when it calls me, but I'm also needing to be very responsible to it. So I'll get up and just write enough so that I will remember it and that I could go back to it when I am fresh. And I think what you're doing is very wise, to work with nature, and the light is the time that is most natural creative time. And yeah, so I'm kind of aspiring to that. And what ends up usually happening is that I burn the candle at both ends. I do mornings and nights for a time. But it's also like creativity comes in waves, like there's big waves, and then they come down, they get restful, and it'll take some time before the next wave to show up. So get a little break in the process.
I like that. Living according to the sun is the new rock and roll. Couldn't agree more.
Very good, Kristen. Yeah, well said. Yeah, we need parties that start at 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. Exactly, Michelle.
Right?
Exactly. You want us to come? It'll be brunch. And Melanie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I was just going to comment about the creativity. When mine first started, it was always when I was around water and in the shower, typically. So I would hear a melody or I'd hear a phrase, and it just wouldn't leave. And I would start to try to remember it, and I'd get out of the shower and it would be gone. So what I started doing was having my cell phone right outside the shower. And when it came, I would step out of the shower quickly and record either the melody I was hearing or the lyrical phrase or whatever was coming through. And then when I got out of the shower, I could then deal with it, because it's like if I don't catch it, it's gone. So I started doing that, and it would come when I was driving in a car or at work, and all I needed to do was catch that little, I call it the like spark. I just needed to catch the spark and then like honor it or hone it in, and then when I had time and feeling super creative, then let it expand from there.
That's interesting that it comes through water. I did have an inspiration in the shower once when I had a ringtone business. One of my most biggest selling ringtones came to me in the shower. I wonder if there's a connection between like water consciousness and like bathing in that and that giving you inspiration. Oh, maybe I'll ask for it the next time. I'm first thing in the morning when I have a shower. I'm asking for some inspiration, some water inspiration for sure.
There
Well,
you go.
I maybe think it was like I was going through a super emotional time then, and water is like our emotional body. So, maybe just perhaps that kind of uh, like water is also a conduit. So,
I
I
wonder if
just,
this is astrological in some way, like some people with a certain water. What's your star sign? Is it a water bearing sign or anything?
no, I'm actually earth sign.
Right. Okay. I just wonder if there's a connection between astrology and your birth sign and when
Well,
how creativity comes to you.
if you think about it, like my sun is Virgo, my moon is Libra, and my rising is Leo. So I've got earth, fire, and air, but I had no water. So I found even people who are water element, if I'm in their presence and being creative, my words are able to flow in ways that I've never able to what's that word? Just like I can't access them unless I'm
Mm.
around different energies. And you talked about it earlier with people and your bandmates, and how you being around those two energies create something. So you talked about co-creating as well.
Mm.
So when you mix yourself up with different zodiacal energies, I guess, then you have different results.
That's fascinating. This is so deep. I love
Mm.
it.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Kristen and Robert shared that grounding is better in water.
Good point.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, water's the most conductive of all electricity. And I can totally relate to the shower thing. That I think it's also a time where you can't do anything else. Like you really can't
Mm.
type on the computer and you can't answer the phone, and you're just kind of in a nice container that's its own place. And that's where the imagination the imagination needs space.
Mm.
If it doesn't have space, then what can come through or if it comes through, it's like you might not even notice it in a really busy kind of a place. And like for me, because I had no skills going into it, nobody ever taught me how to write a song or how not to write a song or anything
Mhm.
about music. And so for me, it all came through silence. That I would be sitting in meditation, and then I would just hear something, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Sometimes it could be, I literally will hear a choir of angels. I know it's really flaky, but I can
Mm.
hear their harmonies. I can hear their voices in a strange way. And yeah, it's so silence can be a real conducive. That's how everything came through with me because I had no knowledge to even fall back on.
Same with me. No training at all. Zero.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. And then it's interesting because other musicians will go like, oh, well, like I said before, oh, you can't do that. And it's like, well, I'm doing it. And that's what it's not wrong. People are like, oh, that's so interesting. What's happening there? I don't know. Just that's how it came through.
Well, I had a music teacher who came into my life that helped me to unleash this. I guess she's seen it inside of me, and she said she loves playing with me and working with me and just jamming with me because I hadn't been colonialized by the music system here and indoctrined to this is the box of music, this is all the rules. And I would make songs that, she would be like, well, what chords are those? And I would show her, and she'd be like, well, that doesn't even belong in the thing, but it sounds good,
Right.
and I said, well,
Yeah.
because I have no rules. I'm listening to it. I'm finding the chords on my little ukulele because it was the easiest thing to learn how to play. And, it made an impact.
There you
And
go.
she's like, I love that because you're not structured into this small box.
Exactly, exactly. And it's real reminiscent of the child archetype that doesn't have a huge, heavy load. And it's part of the curse of becoming, growing into excellence, having a lot of skills, being able to go, oh yeah, do I want the reggae or the jazz or and being able to toggle between those. Now it's not, I don't think it's antithetical. What do you think, Alex? Does that childlike side kind of take a back seat, or do they coexist for you?
Can you reframe the question? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was clear there, but you say like Melanie and I are talking about a little bit more like a childlike process where
Right.
we don't have the knowledge base, and so it's got to come through a bit more like magic.
Yeah, a
That
bit long, but a bit more naturally. Yeah, and I don't read music. As I think I said before, if you put a sheet of music in front of me, it'll be like Japanese or Korean, and I just can't. Some of the best musicians in the world don't read music. I have to figure it out for myself, and it's something that I hear, and I know instantly. As I said before, I can hear when something's flat or sharp, or that note doesn't work, and I'm also just sometimes I'll just like put my hands on the keys and just like put it in a shape and go right. Let's see how this sounds. Boom. No, move that, move that. Ah, that's nice. Oh, isn't that nice? So I'm just feeling my way. Like there's no, I haven't been taught this stuff. There's an inner thing that guides me there. I don't know if that's childlike, but I don't know.
Like
It's just
curiosity.
yeah, curiosity, absolutely. And I just want it. I want it to be me. I want it to come from me. Like I said, that I do have my inspiration. I'm like, oh, that's a familiar chord. That sounds lovely. And just yeah, curiosity, I guess, is a really good way of framing it. So yeah, it's just it has to come from me. I can't be copying other people's chords and I don't know. Yeah, so there's something very natural to that, which I like.
nice, nice. That's beautiful. And childlike is never a derogatory in my world. It's just the more the child archetype and their processing. It's very
Well,
different.
I'm playing, aren't I? I'm playing. I'm
Right.
just playing around, and it's and I'm
Exactly.
and I'm getting joy from it. It's no different to a little child playing with little color blocks. I'm playing with piano keys or guitar strings. I'm going, look at that's nice. So it is childlike. I agree.
Exactly. And there's overlap with the child and the alchemist, because the alchemist is the last archetype, the child is the first. And then, so the alchemist turns into the child. They're very closely related. The alchemist can be extremely sophisticated and have a lot of awareness and, really integrate a lot of different knowledge. And then it comes back to the same, or, it comes around to the same more playful, innocent, like with no outcome in mind, not trying to impress anybody, not trying to be good enough, not trying to be perfect. It's just for the sheer joy of
I
creating.
do try and impress myself, though. That's one thing. When I go, oh, that's
Nice.
good. Yeah, I'm
Nice. I
always
love
striving
that.
for yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. Uh, One more comment or comment from Mara. Did I miss one of them? Yeah, Mara said her creative juices flow at night when her family's sleeping. That's pretty classic too for a mama, right? If you don't have
Mm.
the space in the day and you also hear angels singing, that's lovely. And she said it's so incredibly important after this time that we create from our deepest heart's calling. Creating to please the masses or do what's cool or accepted or what someone else wants is no longer our way. Thank you all. all of you here, how bright y'all are. That's lovely, Mara. Thank you. Well, I wonder if we cooked this conversation. It was fantastic, just super energizing for me in particular.
Great. Well, thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure anytime.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you everyone for coming. And let me make sure to share out your channel and how people could support you. Do you have a Patreon link by any chance that you can lay on us
I
while I
can
fumble
indeed.
around?
Yeah, let's do a bit of fumbling.
Okay. I don't know what happened. There.
Okay, now how do I get this into Zoom chat? I guess there it is.
You see the chat box at the
Yeah.
bottom there? Or you could,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
there
you got it. Okay, perfect. So there's your Patreon. If you guys click that open, then when I close the Zoom room, it will still be up in your browser. And I loved our time together too, Joanne. I'm so glad you could make it. That's awesome. So great. And I'm definitely going to bring this to the attention of my Creator Code course group because I think there will be lots of juice for them in there. And yeah, so the recording will be there, Melanie, if you're wanting to catch the beginning. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll put this up. And there is Conspiracy Music Guru. You can, like I said, if you become a subscriber on YouTube, like I literally have subscribed to no one. No one. I mean, I'll subscribe to them, but I won't. What's the next word? Join or
Membership.
get a membership. Yeah, like oh no, maybe one other. And so I'm really picky with the things that I get into. And
Well,
I'm
I'm
like,
flattered. Thank you so much.
oh yeah, well, all of your music is here, and it's really handy for me too to put it on. I know it's not necessarily like the production that you want, but it's yeah, it just works for me. All
Well,
kinds
yeah,
of-
it's made with the right intent, isn't it? And I think that's what you're after.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't lose its soul to me, but I don't have the ear that you do. And so I'm going to click on your Patreon link here as well to make sure there it's open for me. And just a reminder, we won't have a House of Free Will meeting today, which we usually do on Tuesdays. It will be again next week at 3 p.m. This will preempt that, so I can go back to my creative cave and write like a mofo. So, all right. Well, thank you so much once again, and I hope you guys have a
Thank
beautiful
you.
rest of your day. And I hope to meet you sometime in person and sing some harmonies with you, Alex.
So do I. So do I. That'd be lovely. So at the moment, you'll have to come to Spain, but
Exactly.
maybe one day I might travel over there. We'll see one day. One day, maybe. I'm sure it'll happen.
Maybe I'll meet up with you and Steve in Spain then.
Oh, that would be cool.
Totally would be.
Yeah, let's do that.
Getting lots of love and thanks in the chat here. So appreciate you all. Bye for now.
Ciao.